general election on the 12th of December. Sunder Katwala is the director of the independent think tank British Future, which has been looking at how BAME election candidates are standing in Britain, how many there are. And Chizomo Piri works for the Ethnic Minorities and Youth Support Team Cymru. Good morning, both.
Good morning.
Sunder, can I just start with you? I know that the wider UK picture figures aren't ready, but in general terms, give us an indication, how is Wales comparing with the rest of the UK?
Well, I think we've seen a big increase in ethnic diversity in British politics in the House of Commons, and that's been a big change in the last 10 years. Go back 10 years, there were just 15 ethnic minority MPs. That's 1 in 40 of the House of Commons. It was 52 in the last Parliament. It will go up depending on the results, but it will go to over 60 this time. So you're looking at over 1 in 10 MPs in England are from an ethnic minority background. But this has been very much an English story. That hasn't been the case in Wales at all, as you were saying. It's been very, very rare for there to be ethnic diversity in the House of Commons and Scotland as well. So while England is a more ethnically diverse country than Wales or Scotland, there is obviously growing diversity in Wales, especially in Cardiff, but in other places as well. And so I think it is a challenge for the parties outside England to start to emulate that progress that we've seen in England really speed up in the last 10 years.
And Chizomo, what needs to happen for Wales to see more diverse candidates? I mean, do parties need to accept that, they need to have a wider pool to reflect, the type of Wales that we live in?
Absolutely. I think, there's some really great mentoring programmes, etc. out there. EYST ourselves, we have one. But all of these programmes, all this training is going to fall on deaf ears if we don't have the proper measures in place. I'm someone that would really welcome seeing an all BAME shortlist, for example, having positive discrimination to widen the pool, like you said, to reflect the society we're living in today.
I mean, Chizomo, do you think people are put off actually putting themselves forward because they don't see themselves represented? I mean, what are the factors that are stopping individuals from deciding to stand, do you think?
I think absolutely that. Everyone always says you can't be what you can't see. Wales is not reflective of the society that we're living in today. So why on earth, if you were someone from a BAME background, feel that you could be in that position if you don't see anyone that looks like you, talks like you in that position as well? I think we also need to address the fact that, BAME people, women especially, face a lot of discrimination and online abuse, and that is something that needs to be tackled. We look at other MPs in Parliament, we're talking about the House of Commons here. Diane Abbott receives the most online abuse out of all the candidates. As a young BAME woman, looking to her, that would be a barrier. That would stop you from wanting to
That would put you off, wouldn't it? If you thought, I can't deal with that on a daily, weekly basis.
Definitely. And not just not being able to deal with it, but seeing that not much is being done about it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sunder, what are the parties doing to put BAME candidates in winnable seats? Is it happening?
Well, there's been a big shift, and the late scramble for candidates, which has caused some problems, as you were saying, on this front across the parties, it's made a positive difference because the parties were struggling a lot with their selections this time. They had selected very few ethnic minority candidates. There's been a big late surge in the selections in safe seats. So actually, the ethnic minority candidates who've been selected, especially during the Labour Party, also several Conservatives, that they'd be more likely to be selected in safe seats. So I think that shows that there's pressure at the top of parties and in the centre that isn't perhaps as widely held across the party. So embedding that cultural change is important. What's been really positive is that we've got ethnic diversity across party politics. This is something pioneered by the Labour Party and Diane Abbott's era in the 1980s and 1990s. It was something that David Cameron managed to catch up with for the Conservatives. And I think that's really important because you're not then depending on one party being stronger or weaker to keep the diversity in politics. And I think leadership really matters. Even if you have, this time in Wales, only 2 or 3 candidates in winnable seats, the fact that people can see candidates from an Asian background, from a Somali background, seeing themselves as a candidate and going for it, I think that does start to make the difference that comes through. And that candidates for ethnic minority backgrounds can do well in diverse constituencies and in much less diverse constituencies. We've seen in England ethnic minority candidates standing in home county seats in Essex and Sussex that have very low ethnic diversity as well as in the big cities. So I think the idea that you can only run ethnic minority candidates in very diverse parts of the country is something people believed 10 or 20 years ago, and that isn't really true. Voters are much more interested in the colour of somebody's party rosette than their skin colour, and will give candidates a fair chance if the parties pick them.
Chizomo, would you agree with that? that?
Yes, I do to some extent, and I think there has been some amazing work that's gone on, but I think we still have a long way to go. If we compare in Wales to Parliament, the figures speak for themselves. So while I do welcome all the changes and the measures that have been put in place, I think we cannot forget that we still have a really long way to go.
Really good to talk to you both. Thank you very much. Sunda Katwala there, the director of the independent think tank British Future, and Chisomo Piri works for the ethnic minorities and youth support team Cymru. And you can see much more on this story in Wales Live tonight at 10:30 on BBC One Wales. 8:20 the time. Coming up, we'll be here.